Welcome to the raw and uncensored Ambitchious Podcast. During our time here together, I will be instilling all of the strength, power, and determination you will need to use the very stones thrown at you to build your ultimate empire. We will redefine the word bitch from the derogatory to the acronym being in total control of herself. So let's adjust our crowns and prepare to live life ambitiously. Yeah, here I am, the original HBIC, Katie motherfucking Boyd. And on today's episode of the Ambitchious Podcast, we're talking about the 12-week year. You guys are in for it. I have been doing the 12-week year since January of 2024, and it has totally changed my life. The 12-week year is actually a book. It was published in 2013, but I feel like, I don't know why, but right now everyone is so into the 12-week year, and for good reason. It has totally changed my life. I feel like I am achieving so much more. I'm doing so much more. I'm putting out so much more volume, and I'm staying super focused where, you know me, I got a little undiagnosed ADHD. So I like to get, I like the shiny objects, and I like to be like a squirrel. And this just helps you get your mind straight. So if you haven't already read the 12-week year, pick it up. There you have regular book, audiobook. I actually have both the audio and just like a real paperback cover because I like both. Sometimes if I'm driving, I like to listen. Sometimes if I'm sitting, I like to just read like a normal human being. But the 12-week year book is by Brian P. Moran and Michael Lennington. So those are the authors of the 12-week year. And it's a productivity concept that can be applied in any facet of your life. I actually take the 12-week year and I combine the 12-week year with a lot of my principles in my book, Ambitchious. And I also take into consideration my bitch list, which is also, I talk a ton about that here on the podcast. I also do a lot of coaching on the bitch list on my app, but also the wheel of life. So I kind of take the 12-week year and I bring in all of my concepts within it because and I'm going to explain why as we get into it. But if you really are in a place right now in your life where you're just like, I just feel like I always start these projects, or I start a weight loss journey, or I start, trying to like build a business and an entrepreneurial business, or I want to become a speaker, I want to become a YouTuber, I need to, gain more followers on social media, or be a better mom, or find the love of your life. Like, it doesn't matter. This concept can be applied to literally any part of your life, any facet. So the concept essentially reforms the way you think about time, which I think we all need to reform the way that we think about time. Instead of measuring everything in a 1-year clump, you actually measure everything in terms of 12-week periods, hence the term 12-week year. And honestly, if you do this properly, and you really know what you're doing and why you want to do it and what your goals, dreams, aspirations, and desires are, you can do what it would take you a year in 12 weeks. So it's almost like if you think of 12 weeks as a quarter of a year, you can put 4 years into 1 year of your life. So think about, just wrap your brain around that for a second. If you could have 4 years of accomplishments in only 1 year of your life, why wouldn't you do it? It's crazy, right? But a lot of people haven't heard of this concept, or they're still using just old like productivity constructs that don't work. And for me, I don't know what it is about the 12-week year, but it just clicked in my brain. Matt and I are both doing it, and we are just killing it in life, and we both feel so awesome. So both Moran and Lennington point out in the book, The 12-Week Year, that a year is really too long of a time period to consistently accomplish results. When New Year's rolls around, a lot of us choose, I do it too, very ambitious goals that we're ready to tackle at that moment. And then we start January off really strong, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. We all are fucking We're all poor bastards when it comes to New Year's resolutions, right? And we're like going to the gym and we're eating healthy and we're working on our business. We're doing all the things. And like 2 weeks in, we're like, fuck that. I'm tired. I can't do this. I can't keep up this much energy, right? I'm sure that you're shaking your head right now, wherever you are. If we're lucky, we may even still be going strong in February. Not many people, believe me. And then something funny happens. We start to lose steam, right? We're not getting the results we want. We're becoming impatient. We're getting exhausted. We're getting tired. And we're not getting the results that we desire fast enough. Or we just burn out on something that we couldn't really maintain from the beginning. You can't work out 4 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's called overtraining. Your body will break down. You will get sick. Your immune system will get low. You'll be sore all the time. You're going to be a miserable fucking bitch. You know, we just bite off way too much. But it's okay because we tell ourselves we have the rest of the year to make it happen. And then a few months roll by and suddenly it's June, suddenly it's July, and we're halfway through the year and no closer to the accomplishment of the goals that we desire. But again, we tell ourselves, does it sound familiar? It's all right. We got 6 more months before the end of the year. We can do it. 6 months is a lot of time and we can surely accomplish our goals by then. And then, can you guess what happens next? Not a whole lot. Until the end of the year, that is. The end of the year rolls around and one of two things happen. So first, it's December. We're feeling like a bag of smashed assholes. We feel like losers, as we say here in Boston. Feel like a big fucking loser kid. And then what do? We either one, kick it into high gear and make a last-ditch effort to get just an inclination, just a little smudge, a little smidge, a little morsel of progress. Or 2, we just give up, we decide to scrap it, and we say, fuck it, we'll just start again in January. Oh my God, does it just listen to those 2 things? Doesn't it just like ooze, like, ugh? It oozes low vibrational frequency. A year is too long to maintain anything, but 12 weeks works. And it's funny because when I was reading this book, I was thinking to myself, anytime I had to get into really good shape for a pageant or a fitness competition, I always started 12 weeks out from the competition. And I could get fucking shredded. And I could be in my perfect peak, whatever, look, health, the whole 9 yards in 12 weeks. And I was like, maybe there's something to this. Maybe I can kind of take the way I used to be about my physical self and put it into everything else, which is the 12-week year. So you're asking me, how does it work? Now, obviously, I want you to read the book because it's a great book. And I think it will really help you. But I'm just kind of skimming the surface just to kind of plant a seed today so that you kind of stop the bullshit and get into this 12-week year. So how does it work? So the 12-week year uses a design process to help you visualize your goals and then structure meaningful activities that will help you get to those goals. So number 1, you figure out what you desire. You write everything you desire out on a piece of paper. Then you start categorizing them into a timeline. So what can you accomplish in 5 years? What can you accomplish in 10 years? What can you accomplish in 15, 20 years, etc.? Then you start breaking your vision down into actual goals. What meaningful goals could you accomplish that would help you get to those loftier goals? So the authors don't suggest tackling everything at once, but picking the initiatives that will have the biggest impact. This is why the wheel of life is so important. They don't talk about this, but I just feel like this is how I did it, and I think it would help you. The wheel of life is such a great thing because when you say to yourself, okay, I did my wheel of life and I chose my top 3 things that I want to focus on. And then you take those top 3 things and you leave everything to the wayside and you put those top 3 things into your 12-week year as the goals. So a major concept of the 12-week year book touches on is choosing the most impactful activities for you to measure. For example, if you're doing 10 activities to help reach your goal, but 2 of those activities were delivering 80% of the results, it may make sense to focus all of your attention on just those 2 activities. And this happens a lot, right? This happens a lot when I coach people because A lot of people come to me and they're like, I want to get closer to my spirituality. I want to have good boundaries. I want to have good relationships. I want to make money. I want to work on my health. I want to work on my fitness. I want to change my whole life. I want to change my wardrobe. I want to get a new haircut. I want to rehaul my house and declutter it. I'm like, dude, you need to slow the fucking down. You need to just choose one thing or two things or three things tops to focus on and let all those other things go. Because once you get these three things accomplished, all those other things are going to fall in line, right? So what happens is the other 8 activities are likely time sucks that are distracting your productivity without delivering big results. And if you could change your focus to matter on the things that create the biggest impact, you should be able to meet your end goal much faster and more efficiently. Okay. That's why the bitch list also is great. Like, so if you said, if I do these 5 things every day, no matter what else happens, I'm going to feel like amazing. That's another way to help you hone down like what are the, and they talk about lead and lag indicators. We're going to get to that in a second. But like, what are the things that are going to get me closer to? So you may say like, hey, I need to lose 50 pounds. Okay, so how are you going to do that? You're going to drink a gallon of water a day. You're going to cut your carbs really low. You're going to know what you're eating every day. Like you're going to try to get 1 gram of protein per ideal pound of body weight. Your macros are going to be on point. Your calories are going to be on point. You're going to be eating whole foods, right? You're going to be working out 5 days a week. You're going to be doing cardio 4 or 5 days a week. Maybe you take a yoga class here or there, or a kickboxing class just to spice things up. But is, ripping everything out of your attic and decluttering going to help you lose that weight? No. So like lose the weight first. And then once the weight is off and you've mastered that, then you can go and do the other things. Does that make sense, guys? So how do you set up your first 12 weeks of your 12-week year? I'm going to tell you. So there's obviously a few steps towards setting up your first 12-week year, but they shouldn't be too hard as long as you have a strong vision for what you desire. And this is actually fun. And I did it with Matt, and we've been doing it since January of 2024, and it's been absolutely awesome. And it's actually really fun. And we have meetings every week, and we go over our 12-week year, and we go over our score every week of like, I did 90% of the stuff I said I was going to do. I did 80% or 70%. And then like, how do I get up to the 80? How do I get it to the 90? How do I get 100%? And we're going to talk about that down the road too. So the first thing is you're going to need to identify the goals that you have for the 12-week year plan. And it's probably best, and this is my personal opinion, to start with 1 to 3 goals, depending on how complex and time consuming they are. So spreading yourself too thin and tackling everything at once will mostly dilute your progress. And most of it's bullshit and most of it's distractions anyway. And if you're not sure where to start, you want to revert back to your visions. You want to revert back to the wheel of life. You want to revert back to the bitch list, your perfect day, all those things that I talk about in Ambitchious the book, right? And so you have to ask yourself, what do I need to do to make these things happen? Okay. And it could be, let's just say, and I'm going to use something as an example because I think examples just help people, right? So maybe your first 3 things are a side hustle that you're working on, your regular business or your regular day job, your 9 to 5, and your health. So let's just say those 3 things. Okay. Those are your 3 things. It's your side hustle, your job or your career, and your health. So then what you need to do is with those 3 things, you need to identify 12-week year leading indicators. So once you determined your goals, you'll need to figure out which weekly activities will help you reach those goals more efficiently. And so remember how I was saying about the side hustle. So let's just say your side hustle was starting a website. Okay. And your goal for the first 12 weeks of that 12-week year was getting the website to a point of being accepted in a certain advertising company, meaning it would need to hit a certain number of page views and sessions per month. And this is obviously a requirement to apply to a company. So it seemed like a fitting goal for you. Okay. And then, so to get more page views, you have to look at what activities have the biggest impact on that. And you could also consider where you were struggling before you sat down and did the 12-week year. And maybe it was like writing content for your website, sake of conversation. That was a struggle for you. But it was something that you knew if you could do it consistently that you would see a huge impact in that one goal, right? But like many of the things blocking you or me from the success, it is so easy to get derailed and not hit your weekly quotas to get yourself to that place, right? You may also know in this realm, now obviously these aren't my goals, it's just an example, but you may also know in this realm that building an email subscriber base was important. And the best method for that was using pieces of gated content. Essentially, you provide a piece of content of high value and someone trades their email subscription in order to get it. Okay. We call that a lead magnet in my media company. And lastly, you know that Pinterest is one of the best options for driving organic traffic to a website. And a consistent Pinterest strategy could drive way more traffic and a lot faster than service engine optimization or SEO. So when you know all of this, you set up your weekly activities like this. So your weekly activities could be for this side hustle, for this website. I have to do 6 new pieces of content published per week. I need to do 1 new piece of gated content created per week and 2 12-minute Pinterest work sessions 2 times per day. Okay. So those are the leading indicators of that side hustle. Okay. Now, let's say that your example number 2 could be a health goal, right? So let's just say you were like, okay, I need to lose 50 pounds, but I have a lot of hard time. I have a hard time sticking to a diet. I have a hard time like getting myself to go work out. I have a hard time drinking a gallon of water a day. I want to drink alcohol. I want to eat chips in front of the fucking television, whatever it is, right? So if you know yourself and you have trouble sticking to a diet or a diet plan or a meal plan or nutrition plan that's too strict because you typically in the past have self-sabotaged after a short period of successful commitment, you have to know what your biggest problems are. What are your biggest issues? What are the issues that are going to get in your way on dropping those 50 pounds? Okay. So you're going to create a column and you're going to say, all right, in the past, what fucked me up when I was trying to lose this weight? Like, what were the things that I would do? How would I self-sabotage? Now, this is like hard, right? Because you got to hold the mirror up to yourself. And it is not fun and it's very uncomfortable and you feel like a fucking loser. But that's just, it's par for the course. Okay. So you're going to write down a bunch of different things. You're going to say, okay, what are some of the problems I have? Okay. I snack after dinner. So anytime after dinner, I like love to go. I don't do this. I have other fucking problems, but I'm just saying I'm taking like ideas that I talk to my clients about. So they'll say like, oh my God, like I just after dinner, like I love to have a couple glasses of wine and eat like these delicious tortilla chips and salsa. And I just like mindlessly binge in front of the television because it's just a great way to escape. Okay. So that's one problem. You may be a Starbucks hoe. Which, ew, why are you drinking that shit in the first place? It's full of fucking mold. It makes you have disaster pants. I don't know why you drink or eat at that place. It's disgusting. But anyways, maybe you're a Starbucks hoe and you're like, I go to Starbucks 3 times a day and I get a cake pop and I get a fucking a croissant and I get like a pumpkin spice, fuck my ass, jizz in my mouth latte. Okay. Whatever it is. You know that right then and there, you're probably over your calorie intake just doing that 3 times a day. Okay. You may have like a kryptonite food. Like if people put a fucking bowl of chips in front of me, it's over. Or if people bring Ben and Jerry's into the house or fucking Little Debbie's or whatever the fuck, I can't stop myself. Or maybe you're like, oh, I want to work out in the morning, but I just like never get the gumption. Well, maybe you got to put your fucking clothes out and your sneakers out and like maybe you got to get up an hour earlier. Like, I don't know, whatever that means to you. But those are all the things in the past that have held you back, from losing this weight, right? So just by making these small changes, in addition to maybe you get a food log, you weigh yourself every morning, whatever. Okay. You get a big old water gallon thing and you like, it's already got the measurements on it and you make yourself drink that all fucking day. No other drinks, no alcohol, no sugary drinks, no coffee, no drinks that, well, you could have black coffee and tea, but I'm talking about like, if you're trying to lose weight, you don't want to be going to Starbucks 3 times a day. So maybe all those things is going to be what gets you to that goal, right? So maybe the food log helps keep you more accountable to make better choices, because obviously you feel like a loser when you write like down, like, I deep throated an entire pizza from Papa Gino's. Like, it's probably not something that you're proud of, so you're not going to write it down. Or I ate a whole bag of Halloween candy by accident. Like, we all do stupid shit like this, and we all have. And I'm not saying that I haven't done it, because I have. Or I drank a whole bottle of bourbon in one night. I've done that many a day, especially in COVID. So the leading indicators for health, for your health goal, may be, okay, these are the things that you have to do to make sure that you stay on point, which is no to the shit that I just said. So no to the chips, no to the tortilla chips, no to the Little Debbie's, no to the Halloween candy, no to the alcohol. Maybe those are your top 5 no-nos, okay? So you say, okay, those are my top 5. No, never going to eat that shit while I'm on this meal plan. The next lead indicator may be a daily food log, because it helps you make better choices. The next lead indicator could be drinking a gallon of water a day, right? The next thing is, I'm going to work out 5 days a week for 1 hour every day, and I'm going to take 2 rest days, okay? And there's a million other things that I could talk about here about protein and your carbs and, all that stuff. I save that for my app. That's where I coach on that stuff. That's where all my recipes are, my meal plans are, my protocols, all that stuff. I don't want to get into that, but that is kind of like what you have to do to drop this weight. So those are your lead indicators, the things that you have to do to get you to that goal. Does that make sense, guys? So the lead indicators are the things that you have to make happen to make your goal happen. Now we're going to talk about lag indicators. So your lag indicators are how you're going to measure your success. You can't really know if you're making progress towards your goal without measuring it in some kind of metric. So there's a bunch of different things that I teach over on the Ambitchious app, but I'm just going to talk to you guys about the 2 things that I've already talked about today as the examples. So using some examples from the number 1, the side hustle that we talked about before, and number 2, health, right? So example number 1, side hustle. The lag indicator is number of page views and sessions per day, week, and month. So that's how you're going to measure that. And then your example number 2 about your health is your weight. You're going to measure your weight, even though I do not believe that weight means shit, because I see a lot of people that are very heavy in their weight and their fucking bodies are amazing, because muscle, it takes up 1/3 of the space as fat, but it weighs just as much, right? So a pound of fat and a pound of muscle, they both weigh the same, but they're going to take up very different amounts of space, okay? Anybody who says a pound of fat and a pound of muscle weighs more than a pound of fat is a fucking idiot. You're not my friend if you think that that's okay. So setting up your 12-week year performance report. And this is like one of my favorite things about the 12-week year, is that you have a weekly performance grade. And it's probably the same reason I did well in school and in tests and being graded when I was being a good student, because I like being scored. I'm competitive like that. And Matt and I are doing this together. So every week we sit down and we go over our schedules and we go over our lag indicators. We go over our lead indicators and we score ourselves. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 100. 100 being you are perfect. 0 being you're a fucking loser. Okay. We haven't had any zeros yet, thank God, but I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that are like, I have, and that's okay. You can always get better. So the different types of accountability factors, we crave changes based on our personalities, but for me, this is the one that really, really works. I like scoring myself. I like measuring things. I'm very scientific when it comes to those types of things. So every time I think about not completing a task on my weekly activity log, I think about how my score and completion percentage will reflect the decision. And the crazy thing is, no one else is looking at this. So it's just for me and Matt. And he doesn't even really care about my shit. And I don't care about his shit. I want to support him. I want him to support me, but I'm not there to judge him, right? I'm not the judge and juror. But knowing your score is so important. It's actually super duper motivating. And if that's not enough for you, you may choose to partner up with someone like I did, or share with a family member or a close friend. And the big step here is creating a numerical measurement for each activity listed in your weekly plan. Okay. So here's a breakdown of examples, how I talked about the examples before. So I want you to kind of like get some structure. So let's just say the example 1 is your side hustle. Remember we were talking about before the side hustle with the website stuff. So your weekly lead indicator are 6 new pieces of content published. The weekly measurement is 6 total points available, 1 for each piece published. Weekly lead indicator, 1 new piece of gated content created. Weekly measurement, 1 total point available, 1 point for gated content creation. Then weekly lead indicator is 2 15-minute Pinterest sessions per day. Then the weekly measurement is 7 total points available, 1 point earned for each daily activity level was met. And that would mean the side hustle example goal would have 14 points available each week to earn. And if you hit everything perfectly, you would earn 14 out of 14 points and hit 100% productivity. And if you hit everything except only published 4 pieces of content, you would earn a 12 out of 14, which is an 86% productivity. Okay. And you can obviously keep track of this in a spreadsheet online or in a notebook. It really doesn't matter to me. I don't do it in points like that. We score ourselves on a 0 to 100%. And each thing that we're doing is just valued. Okay. So if you say, okay, I'm going to do A, B, C, and D, and each one of those things are whatever, if you didn't do the D, you're going to get a 75. So it's really, that's how I do it. Obviously, the 12-week yearbook has a bunch of different examples, and you may like it to do it a different way. It doesn't matter to me, but I think it's really important. Okay, so how are we going to identify the 12-week year sacrifices? Because obviously, when you're doing anything big, you're going to have to sacrifice, correct? And this is a very important factor when planning your 12-week year, and that is figuring out where you are going to make some sacrifices. Obviously, you can't magically add more time to the day, so something has to give. So I would take a good guess out there that there are a few activities you do during the day that are mostly a waste of time, whether it's scrolling social media aimlessly, watching YouTube video tunnel, or binging television shows. Right now, as you're listening to this podcast, is anything coming up to your mind that you can identify that would give you more time during the day to work on your goals? So when I did this back in January, I actually said, I'm not going to allow myself to get distracted. These are the only things I'm going to be working on. And then in like February, I decided to run for town planning board in my town of Wyndham. And that was a huge distraction, even though I learned a lot and it was a great experience and I got so much out of it. It was a huge distraction and it took me off of my game with my weight loss and my business stuff and my goals. And now that I'm like done with that, which again, I appreciated the whole experience. And, now I'm president of the Women's Service Club and I love it. And it's so fun for me. And that came out of it. I would have never met these women if I didn't probably run for planning board, right? So there's so many great things that came out of it, but it took me off my game. And I felt like, just recently, I started over from scratch my 12-week year because Matt and I were sitting down talking and we're like, okay, we're right at this, we have 6 more months of the rest of the year. We got to fucking figure it out. And I said, okay, we need to go back to the 12-week year. And we did, and we've been killing it. And I can't tell you, as soon as I chose to go back to the 12-week year, it was like Satan knew that I was doing the 12-week year, and Satan was like, oh, I'm going to throw her a bunch of shiny things. I've had to say no to so many things in the last month, because I knew, even though they could be really lucrative or really exciting and they looked good on paper and it was something novel, I knew that it wasn't going to help me with the goals that I have. And I had to say no. And maybe down the road I'll do them, but right now it's just not for me because I'm really focused on my top 3 goals. So it could be deciding to let go of all TV shows except for one series that you really enjoy. Obviously everyone needs a mental kind of drool on yourself break. I mean, everybody deserves that. So, you may watch a lot of television and you may just say I'm cutting out all TV except this one thing that I like. And I'm only going to allow myself to watch it for 1 hour a day or 1 hour a week or whatever your goals are. So point being, don't expect to be able to make incredible changes if you aren't willing to make some sacrifices. So some sacrifices around time would be no TV except for one series, 1 hour a week. And it could also be wake up an hour earlier so you have more time to accomplish your goals, right? And then once you've gone through all the steps to build a framework and to track your first 12-week year, you are ready to start. You got to just pick a date and you got to get moving. and you may be amazed on what you will accomplish. I'm doing a ton of 12-week year stuff with my girls in the Ambitchious app, and everyone is absolutely killing it. One of the things that I'm doing for my 12-week year is, so my goal is to release 40 pounds because I gained 40 pounds during the pandemic, just slowly over time through stress eating, alcohol, not moving my body, and just being in a fucking weird fear spiral from hell. And now I'm like, okay, it's time to like get myself back to where I was before, because I know that that's what makes me feel really good. So my 12-week goal is to release 40 pounds in 3 months. Okay. So how am I doing that? I'm using A28P, which is a 28-day transformational protocol. And I will keep doing A28P during the 3 months, the 12 weeks, until I hit my goal, right? I am working out. I'm lifting weights 5 days a week. I'm doing yoga with my clients 3 days a week. I am moving my body a ton, even more with my clients, because now I'm back to work at Katie Boyd's Misfit Club. I am following a mostly carnivore diet. I do have some plants, but they're low lectin, low oxalate, low histamine plants that don't cause inflammation in my body. If you don't know what those are, Google it or come over to the app. I have a huge list of all the best vegetables to eat. I'm not eating any sugar. I'm not having any alcohol. And I'm doing an hour of cardio every day. I'm drinking a gallon of water. I'm taking my supplements. I'm doing my hormone replacement therapy through Dr. Applebaum at Men's Health Boston. I'm also on a peptide called Samorelin, which is a secretagogue to growth hormone, which helps with your hair, skin, nails, longevity, body fat, helps you with muscle wasting. I'm also doing some intermittent and some extended fast, and that's all the stuff that I'm doing in A28P. And if you are interested, get on over to the app, get A28P, and you're going to be just blown away by how much your body changes. So that's my first goal. Then my other goals have to do with business and finances. And it's really just getting people to come into the app and join the app, getting people to come into Katie Boyd's Misfit Club and join Katie Boyd's Misfit Club, working with mentorship clients. And that's how I create my wealth and abundance. But I also do all those things and I give back to humanity. And I love what I do for work. Like I jump out of bed in the morning to talk to my clients, to go live on the app, to coach my girls, to do mentorship, to have, retreats and have events and do spiritual work and sound healing and breath work and yoga and meditation and all the self-development things that we teach at Katie Boyd's Misfit Club and Ambitchious and on the Ambitchious app. So those are like my 12-week year goals. I'm going to keep you guys in the loop of how I'm doing on social media and obviously more intimately on the Ambitchious app. And you may have goals that are very similar to mine, and you may have very different goals. Whatever the goals may be, using this 12-week year format will put your goal accumulation in hyperdrive. That's just bottom line. And I've proved it to myself, and I'm continuing to prove it to myself. And don't forget, anything that I tell you guys on my podcast from day one to now are all things that I've done myself. So I'm never going to tell you guys to do things and not do them myself. I'm usually the guinea pig before I even talk to any of you guys about it. So pick up the 12-week year book, or you can go on YouTube and you can even do a deeper dive onto the 12-week year. But I hope that I planted some seeds today so that you end up really getting focused on what you desire and then putting it in hyperdrive. And if you feel like this podcast was valuable, please share this with people that you love. Put it on your social. Extra points if you tag me. I would always, always love to see reviews on Apple, on Spotify, and all the other places where you can consume this podcast. And I appreciate you all out there in Ambitchious land from the bottom of my little black heart. And like I always say, don't forget to stay ambitious, and I will see you next Tuesday.